All right. Hello and welcome back for another episode of the 9521 Atlanta Baseball Podcast. Jason here with you with my battery mate Mike joining us for another episode. Mike, it seems like we were just here because we were just here. What, Thursday night?
Yeah. Yes, it does feel like we were just here because, you're correct.
Yeah.
It was only 3 days ago.
Yeah, we're back. We were a little late on last week's episode due to the All-Star break, but we're coming back on our regularly scheduled Monday night to talk about the Rangers series, Mike, and kind of look ahead. We talked about coming out of the break, how important it was for the Braves to get off to a good start, and they certainly did that, taking 2 out of 3 from the Rangers over the weekend, and a lot of good stuff. Even though they lost the middle game of the series, I thought there was a lot of good things to focus on here, Mike. Obviously, we'll get into the specifics, but coming out right after the break and after the rough finish to the first half of the season, important against two teams. I mean, the Rangers are in first place, but they're basically a 500 team. And now we got the Padres for 4 games at home. Huge to get off to a good start and take 2 out of 3 from Texas.
Yeah. The AL West is just a below average division. I mean, if they're 500 and leading the division, like no one can seem to want to win in that division, and that goes for the American League also, just the whole thing across the board.
True, very true. Yeah, so Texas comes in, and coming out of the break, Chris Sale had a lot of time off, Mike, and you could tell on Friday night he came out and did Chris Sale type things as he goes 7 innings, and that's the wrong graphic. 7 innings, he gives up 2 hits, strikes out 6, walks 0. And before we get to the offensive outburst, just Chris Sale, when he's got that much time to rest, he's super effective. And, boy, he looked like the Chris Sale. And, man, we needed 7 innings. If the staff ever needed 7 innings, it's the first time we've gotten 7 innings out of anybody since the last time Sale did it back in mid-May. And just huge for him to get 7 innings, 2 hits, 6 Ks, no walks. Pretty good Chris Sale outing to start off the second half.
Yeah, you can't complain. I mean, like you said, he goes out there and does Chris Sale things. He's dominant and mowing people down. So, I mean, only 6 Ks, but still, I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take the 6 Ks along with the shutout, 7 innings. And the offense, for a change, they've been known to struggle with Chris Sale out there, not support him like they probably should. But for a change, they came through. What a weekend for Drake Baldwin. We were, I think most of us were not super concerned about Drake and him bouncing back. He needed the time. Get his timing down. He certainly has done that in the series. 10 for 14, 3 homers, 8 RBI. Part of that Friday night outburst, 15 runs, but just overall, I think it was only a matter of time before Drake rediscovered his swing, and that offense goes as Drake goes now. He is the guy that really is the spark plug for this offense, Mike.
Yeah, as I heard someone on 680 The Fan on my way home tonight, he's the straw that stirs the drink to steal the Reggie Jackson thing from the 70s, but he definitely is for us.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Acuna has been that in the past, and he could be again when he comes back. But right now, Drake Baldwin, you see what the offense did when he was out, and the offense just struggled terribly when he was out. And when he came back, maybe too soon, didn't have his timing down, but he certainly found that in the last week or so. You could see him kind of coming out of it right before the break. You could see the swings were getting better, the bats were getting better, and he picked up where he left off. But maybe the most encouraging, maybe the biggest story over the weekend was not even Drake Baldwin, and that's saying something when he went 10 for 14 with 3 homers. But maybe this guy, Austin Riley, Mike, 6 for 12, 3 homers, 5 ribbies, a 2-homer game yesterday, taking better swings, just finally some signs of life. Now, we don't want to overstate it. It's one weekend. Yeah. He had another hard hit ball tonight as we're live now. The Braves are playing the Padres. He had a hard hit ball to center field earlier in the game, but I think he drew a walk also. Just the at-bats look better. And one thing that one of our fellow podcasters pointed out today that I was listening to, Locked On Braves with Jake Mastriani, he pointed out that he just simply was hitting the fastballs that he's been missing. They're still trying to pitch him away, but when they come in, he's got to be able to hit those pitches when they come in and try to set him up, and he did that over the weekend. And, man, if Riley can do that or just some semblance of that the second half of the season, it's a complete game changer for this Braves offense.
Yeah, anything middle of the plate or in, he has to just hammer. Yes. Because he can't seem to reach anything on the outside part of the plate. No, but even tonight, like I've been watching. Yeah, he barreled up the ball that he hit up to center. He just got under it a little bit because otherwise that probably would have been gone too.
Yeah, it's a good sign when he's hitting the ball to center field and to right field. Now, I know one of his home runs yesterday, he pulled it to left, which is fine. Then one was to center field. But maybe the biggest hit of the weekend for him, Mike, was not any of the 3 home runs. One of those home runs came off a position player, by the way, but that may have been the one that who knows what ignites the confidence, right? So the biggest one to me was yesterday, 2 outs and runners in scoring position. He comes through with a huge 2 RBI single to center field. And when he came up to bat in that situation, I looked at my wife and said, this is where we find out if he's starting to come out of this, because he struggled mightily with runners in scoring position. I think a lot of this is mental with him and having those runners on. And he came through. He didn't have to hit the home run, just got the single 2 RBI. I thought that was the biggest at bat that he's taken in a long time. And maybe that will springboard his confidence even more going forward.
Yeah, like you said, when he's hitting it to center and he's hitting it to like right center, that's when you know he's on it, and that's what you want to see, because it means he's not, pulling out too soon on that swing. So he's on the ball, and that's good.
Yeah, for sure. Some other highlights from the weekend, good and bad. I thought, Saturday's game was frustrating. The Braves had a lead; they had a good lead. The bullpen just didn't get it done. Tyler Kinley, gives up the lead, tying home run. And then Dylan Lee was unable to kind of come in and do what he typically has done and be the stopper. But I didn't think Lee was bad. He had a couple of, kind of bad luck hits from Texas that led to a couple of runs. And, I also think Lee may have been a little tired having pitched the day before too. So not too worried about Dylan Lee. Tyler Kinley, I'm a little concerned about. He just doesn't seem to have the consistency that we saw from him when he first kind of started with the Braves. I'm not sure I trust him in leverage situations anymore, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, he did look shaky recently. But like with Dylan Lee, I'm not worried about him at all. No one's going to go, an entire season not and be perfect every outing. It's just not going to happen. He's going to be allowed to have a bad game every once in a while, and when it's a interleague game that is not going to hurt us, like division wise, I'm fine with that. I'd rather him do that as opposed to late September and against the Phillies or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. That was just one of those frustrating games. We got back to within a run, couldn't quite get over the hump. Went 1-2-3 in the ninth. But then yesterday, I just thought going into that series, it was really important for the Braves to win the series. I mean, every series is going to be big now. I mean, we've got barely 60 games left in the season. And we call it the first half and the second half, but really by the time we get to the All-Star break, you're almost 3/4 of the way through the season. So really important to win these series. And kudos to the Braves. Grant Holmes, Grant Holmes is a reliever. Okay. Yeah. And they're trying to get what they can out of him as a starter until we can figure out the rotation. And look, he got out there and he gutted it out and he gave them a chance to win. It wasn't pretty at times. It wasn't perfect. We needed him to go longer than he did to save the bullpen, but by golly, he found a way to limit the damage. He got out of a huge situation at one point with a double play that I thought may have been a game saver. Gave the offense a shot to do their thing, and they did. And I thought this was just a huge win. To get the series coming out of the break against a good team. They're not, they're, like we said, they're 500, but still they're first place team. Just a really good start. And to take that rubber game after the disappointing Saturday, I thought showed some mental fortitude. All around, I was super happy with the weekend.
Yeah, can't complain. And like you were saying about Grant Holmes, he's a spot starter and a long reliever. Like that's my thoughts when it comes to him. The only problem is the spot starts have been frequent. So because we have no idea what's going on with with the injury bug. So he's had to have a lot of spot starts.
A lot. Yeah, and look, get that guy in the bullpen. Maybe we can't do it till later in the season or the postseason, but he's a guy that he really baffles batters the first time through the order. He seems to get the job done most of the time. It's the second, third time they've seen him where he gets himself in trouble. So if you put him in the bullpen and he's a guy that comes in and gives you a solid inning or two in the middle of the game, especially in the postseason, and Anthopoulos talked about that some over the weekend. We'll get into a little bit of that. Just you really have to piece it together in the postseason. It's no longer you got 4 starters and you hope they go 6-7 innings. That's not where we're at with baseball anymore in the regular season, but especially in the postseason in these short series. Have a couple of good starters, have some bullpen guys that can bridge the gap, and then your closers. And look, I think the most important return that people are looking over a little bit, we're talking about Acuna, we're talking about Sean Murphy coming back at some point, Schwellenbach, but Robert Suarez needs to get back because I don't feel like this bullpen has been quite the same since Suarez went out hurt. He may have been pushed back now, Mike, a little bit. Looks like they're being really careful with him, and Anthopoulos mentioned that in an interview. We may not see him till late July or early August at this point, but I'm okay with that if he comes back healthy because to me, when you start setting up the postseason and if you had a bullpen with Dylan Lee, Grant Holmes, Didier Fuentes, Robert Suarez, and Iggy, that's going to be tough to beat if the Braves can give them a lead in the late innings.
Yeah, because honestly, at that point, you just need your starter to go 5, which, I mean, now that's perfectly fine. But, like, if thinking about, like, when we were kids, you'd expect 7 out of your starter back then. Yeah. But, like, now they just need to be able to – can you get through 5 with, only giving a couple runs? Because they'll shut that down. They'll shut that completely down. Yeah, I mean – I heard, I think probably the same thing you did with Suarez. He's just starting to throw.
Yeah, I think he's done some bullpens, but not like bullpen sessions where he's facing batters. So yeah, he's ramping up, but I think they've been a little more cautious with him than maybe we thought they were going to be. Anthopoulos mentioned talking to him and saying, "Hey, we want to make sure you're really good because we do want you ready for the postseason."
Yeah, that's the most important. Like, you want to hold him out until early September. That's fine. That's fine with me because that means he's ready for October. Because that you want to give him some, get him back into it. You don't want to just toss him out there in early October in the playoffs. You want to give him some work. But early September is fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, August is going to be interesting. I was just checking on the Braves are up 3-2 as we're talking here. For those that are going to listen to the recording, 3-2 in the 7th. The Phillies, meanwhile, lead the Dodgers 5-3 in the 6th. So we can hope the Dodgers feels weird pulling for the Dodgers, but enemy of my enemy is my friend at this point. So we'll see. Braves with a 3-game lead, by the way. The Phillies haven't been. We talked about this Thursday night. The Phillies haven't been exactly lighting it up. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets over the weekend. We know what it feels like to lose a series to the Mets, also, but I was pretty shocked at that. Wouldn't expect anything different though for them to come out and beat the Dodgers. Kind of how it goes. But the Dodgers started Sheehan tonight, who's been a little shaky. So 5-3 Phillies in the 6th, and the Braves clinging to a 1-run lead. Hopefully we can nail that down. So yeah, Suarez coming back will be huge. Acuna, by the way, it looks like from what Walt Weiss has said and what Anthopoulos has indicated, he could come back right now, Mike. They're just being really super cautious. Obviously, they don't want to put him in any situation to re-injure himself. But one thing that was mentioned by both guys, I think, was he will be primarily the right fielder. I've heard a lot of talk, a lot of social media chatter about Ronnie coming back as the DH, but they're saying he's going to play right field right from the get-go. I'm sure he will DH some here and there, but I really think they're looking at keeping Baldwin in a lot of that DH spot, especially when Sean Murphy comes back. But, yeah, it looks like Ronnie's going to come back, play right field. Haven't heard many reports about how he's playing. They said his timing's still a little bit off, which I thought his timing was off when he was not hurt. He was kind of like Riley. He wasn't catching up to those fastballs on the inner part of the plate. So maybe they're trying to give him a chance to work through that. I know he had a grand slam in the FCL before they moved him up to Gwinnett. So, but look, Ronnie's Ronnie, and if he can come back, get on base, create havoc on the base paths, he's still a weapon. And if it's Ronnie he doesn't have to be 2023 Ronnie, but if he's anywhere near just really good Ronnie and Riley's bat has come back to some extent, all of a sudden, it's almost like trade deadline acquisitions, Mike, to get those two guys bounced back.
Yeah, exactly. To go from not having Acuna for over a month, and Riley being atrocious, to be honest, to get them both going. They have Acuna come back and Riley get going. Yeah, it's you didn't do anything, you didn't trade anything away, but still ended up like a plus right near the end of the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, even just Riley, just having Riley play in decent baseball would be huge, and then add Acuna. One interesting thing, and somebody asked me this, asked me this the other day. Might have been my wife. I really don't know the answer to this, so I want to get your opinion. When Acuna does come back, Mike, does he automatically slot back into the leadoff spot, or are they going to leave Baldwin there because he's had some success, obviously, and you move Acuna down to second? Like, what are your thoughts there on the leadoff spot?
Was it this year or was it late last year that sometimes he was hitting a third like a few times?
I think both. I think they did it a little bit this year, but they did it a lot second half of last year.
I don't have a problem with him if he wants to lead. Like he's him. Like we're not gonna. He wants to lead off. I think they'll probably let him lead off.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked if Walt's like, hey, can hit second, third, like something like that. Like. It's hard to tell someone with all of his talent no.
Yeah, true. It's interesting though. I think we've seen Acuna in the past. They tried to move him down. He just seems to prefer that leadoff spot.
Yeah.
Whereas Baldwin, I feel like you could bat Baldwin in any spot. He's probably going to hit the ball. So my guess would be you put Ronnie back where he's comfortable in the leadoff slot. Baldwin's your number 2 hitter most nights. And unless Baldwin just goes out there and really struggles with that, which I don't think he will, I think that's you go Ronnie, Baldwin, and then I would go Ozzie in the third slot and have Olsen clean up, followed by Harris, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, I kind of think Ronnie will be back. One other development that I heard Anthopoulos talking about was Ha-Seong Kim has looked okay. He's looked pretty good in some of his rehab starts. He's barreling the ball up. He's hitting the ball more solid. That could be a big development too in a couple of ways. Number one, as much as people like Jim Jarvis, and he's been solid, I'm not sure that's the guy you want to go to battle with in the postseason. We'll see. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying he's still kind of unproven on a long-term basis, a small sample size. Also, though, for trade purposes, I mean, I don't know that anybody would want to take on Ha-Seong Kim at this point, but maybe Jim Jarvis has done enough to show some teams that maybe he's a trade chip out there if you can put Kim back in at short. And you can still platoon him with Dubon once Ronnie comes back for the outfield. So, I don't know. It's just a good development. You'd rather have Ha-Seong Kim doing good things than looking like he was before he left.
It's a low blotter clear for him because, I mean, really, you need to hit 100 to look better than you did before. I'm not trying to harp on him being horrible before he went down, but – yeah, you're correct. The truth is the truth. If he can hit, honestly, if he can hit 220, I'm happy because really that's like 150 points higher than he was before. So I'll take it.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Braves could very well have an embarrassment of riches here soon. If Kim is doing better, Riley comes back to what he's doing. Ronnie comes back solid. You still got Sean Murphy out there, and that's another big question that's going to come up. Are the Braves going to try to carry 3 catchers? Because Joey Bart's done himself proud. He had a big double tonight, RBI double. Do you keep Bart on the roster, let Baldwin kind of be almost a full-time DH at that point and maybe save his legs and have Murphy, and Bart manage the pitching staff? I mean, I don't know. I'm throwing this out there because I really like Joey Bart. I think he's brought some positivity to this team, some positive things. But you'd rather have these problems, Mike, than the opposite problem, which we've mostly had with our pitching rotation and our bullpen. Not enough people, not enough good people playing well. You'd rather have the opposite problem for sure. And kudos as we're doing this tonight. Kudos to Bryce Elder. They needed him to come out and shove tonight. He gave them 6. They tried to get him into the 7th. He gives up a leadoff home run on top of the 7th, so they pulled him. But 6 innings was huge tonight to save that bullpen. Had to use a lot of pieces the last couple days. And then hats off to Medeiros, by the way. Victor Medeiros came in and finished that inning and then got through the 8th, 1, 2, 3, it looks like. So huge for the bullpen to be able to get some rest in the middle, not even in the middle, at the beginning of this stretch of 17 consecutive games without a day off for Atlanta.
Oof, yeah, no, yeah, that's the thing is we have to somehow survive all of this, and that was what I was thinking with Acuna. He'll probably, like you said, he's going to play a lot of right field, but they got to DH him a couple times. With you can't go from rehab to 17 straight games. That's gonna be real hard. So I could see him DHing maybe like 4 or 5 games, something like that. But his defense is worth it for it to be out there, him to be out there in right field.
Yeah, for sure. And in the middle of the stretch, maybe the longer you wait to bring Acuna back, so he doesn't have to come back and play, 13 games in a row or whatever it might end up being.
Yeah.
I haven't looked. I'm sure other teams are having to do similar things throughout the season, but it seems like the Players Association would say, hey, guys, we can't have guys playing 17 consecutive games in the middle of the summer. You're just increasing chances for injury and issues. It just seems complete, especially when you play in Atlanta in the heat of the summer. Like, it's rough out there, man. And these guys playing 17 consecutive – you're just asking for pitching injuries, especially sending these guys out there over and over again. Speaking of pitching, as we mentioned, kind of got through the weekend. Sale was brilliant on Friday night. Owen Murphy, Saturday, another frustrating thing about Saturday we didn't really mention, Mike, was, Murphy wasn't great. He left some pitches over the plate. However, the inning where it all fell apart really was led off by Mauricio Dubon, who, look, he's done enough this year positive to overcome a couple of mistakes, but this was a boneheaded mistake he made in the outfield, basically knocked a fly ball out of Michael Harris's glove. I don't know if they miscommunicated. That's Michael Harris's ball. The center fielder has precedent. And you just wonder if they get that out. That was the first out of the inning, or it would have been. Nobody on. Would have been 1 out, nobody on. Instead, you got a guy on first base, and you got the young guy pitching. Maybe it rattled him. Maybe things come out different if we don't have that. The defense wasn't great Saturday. So I don't necessarily take a lot from Owen Murphy's performance Saturday. Again, he did leave a couple pitches in a bad spot, gave up the leadoff home run to Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
I don't really hold any of that against the kid, though. First start, I want to see more from him before I make a judgment. Of course, they sent him back down because they needed to bring Medeiros up to give him some flexibility in the bullpen. But I'm not too down on Murphy after that start, Mike. It wasn't beautiful, but I do wonder if the defense had been better, if maybe things have been a little different.
Yeah, I mean, it's his first start. Yes, he's been in it was either 1 or 2 other games coming out of the bullpen a little bit, but you can't hold his first ever start against him. No one's going to be perfect. I know it wasn't his first ever start, but Smoltz, in the beginning of 91, horrible start. It was 1-10 or something to that effect.
Yeah, he was.
And he ended up a Hall of Famer. So, I mean,
he did all right. Yeah.
He did pretty good. You got to give him a little bit of a leash and let him grow into it. You'll be okay. You'll be fine.
Oh.
Don't worry about the lead off to homer to Jock and everything else. You'll be fine.
Yeah, again, I do wonder if the play by Dubon rattled him a little bit, but as a big leaguer, you got to overcome that. I mean, it happens. You can have fielding mistakes. We just had another runner picked off. That's amazing. It's been a while, though. It's been a while, but it's kind of disheartening. So Murphy, not great, but then Sunday, again, we bounced back. Grant Holmes did okay. So big start from Elder tonight. He's done fine against the Padres. He got through 6. It looks like we're going to get Martin Perez back. It's not been official that I've seen, but the rumor is he's going to start Wednesday's game. And then I guess tomorrow is Raylo. So, look, again, we're kind of piecemealing this thing together right now until, I guess, the deadline or until we see if A.J. Smith-Shawver can come back and give us some quality starts. Some bad news, Mike, I saw not too long before we jumped on here. Sounds like Waldrop felt something not quite right in his last start with Gwinnett, and so he's going to be evaluated. That could be bad news when you're coming off already some elbow issues, I think it was. And, we'll cross our fingers on that. He wasn't pitching great. He wasn't great in his start. trying to kind of rediscover things, I think, after being out so long, which is typical. But, man, I feel bad for him more than anything. I mean, we've got Shawver coming back, hopefully. Maybe Owen Murphy can give us something. Schwellenbach is, he's ramping up. It's going to be a while. And then, of course, we got the trade deadline coming up. So it's not so much a matter of losing that depth piece with Waldrop, it's just feeling bad for the kid if he's hurt again.
Yeah, and exactly. I feel bad for the kid more than anything else. I mean, you never know when you come back from an injury like he had. Could very easily you could find more bodies in that elbow of his. But like you said, we got AJ Smith-Strava coming back. I mean, deadline still hasn't happened, so we can go out there and possibly get a starter. Yeah, I mean, all you can do is feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see kind of how that comes out. And when it comes to, we're getting close now to the trade deadline. We're 2 weeks-ish away, less maybe. So a couple of interviews with Anthopoulos over the weekend. Look, when you're talking to a general manager 2 weeks before the trade deadline, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. He's not going to give a lot away. There's going to be a lot of, GM speak and just kind of generalities. But he basically, he said he wants a playoff caliber starter. And his definition of that is someone you just trust to go out there and make a good start in the postseason, which is obviously a need right now. I think you have one starter that we would trust in the postseason. That's Chris Sale, and a bat. He mentioned wanting another bat. He didn't, to my knowledge, he didn't get super specific on that, righty or lefty, or, is it a platoon situation still they're looking at for another left fielder? I don't know, but he mentioned that. And he said that basically no prospects are going to be off limits if it's more than a rental. So somebody willing maybe to sign an extension or who has a couple years of control. He did say there was one prospect that they would be hesitant to part with, but he didn't say who that was. I guess we can all make our guesses, whether it's Caminiti or Eric Hartman. I don't know. As we've talked about before, Mike, I'm okay with trading a couple pieces away, especially if it's not a rental situation. I mean, I would hate to give up a major piece we've rebuilt that farm system, and we had a really good draft by all accounts. Braves had a really good draft. I'd hate to give that up to go for it for 1 year and kind of ruin our chances 2, 3, 4 years from now. And I don't think Anthopoulos is going to do that. I mean, that's basically what he said. Look, if it's just a rental, I don't think he's going to go all in and give up anything of any consequence. On the other hand, I do feel like this team with Riley hitting the ball, and again, small sample size, Acuna coming back, the bullpen, once it gets all pieced back together with Suarez and we figure some things out there, this team is not that far away from being able to compete for the title. So
correct.
It's really a catch-22 for me because, yes, I want to go for it right now, and no, I don't want to give up the farm. So where are you at, Mike, as far as how you balance those two things in 2026?
Well, like you said, I think the bullpen basically is set as soon as we get Suarez, maybe another one arm, but nothing that's going to break the bank. And like you said, and like Double A said, we're not going after someone who's just going to be a rental. So everyone, don't expect Tarek Skubal to end up in Truist. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't want, and you, both of us have both said we don't want it to happen either, because I don't want to sell the farm for just some rental player. It's just not worth it. Someone like a Logan Webb who has a couple of years of control, that'd be fine with me. Someone with at least either pre-arbor or someone who's got like a longer contract. I have that. Fine, great. You want to give up some prospects for that? Yes. And my thought was when I heard that thing of there's only one prospect that they said no, that they weren't going to give up, and I was like, it's either Caminiti or Hartman. Like that's still, yeah, that was the first two thoughts. First two guys, I'm like, it's one of those two. I'm just not sure which one.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they'll take Bryce Elder and Jim Jarvis in a package deal, then we'll go for that. We'll do that. But I don't want to give up either of the guys. One interesting – this will not happen. I just want to say I thought it was interesting listening to a different podcast. Somebody had asked the host about – it may have been Locked On again, but Kevin Gossman and George Springer as a package deal. to the Braves. They're both rentals. They're both on the last year of their contract. I mean, if you wanted to make a run the last 2 months, and if you didn't have to give up a ton, I think that would be something to look at. It would give you a shot. Springer's got a lot of postseason experience and success. Gossman is a guy that, of course, we let go. You know, he was one of us before, and he's proven he can be an effective pitcher. So I just thought that was interesting, Mike. They didn't really say what we might have to give up there, but they would both be rentals, so we wouldn't want to give up a lot. But that would be an interesting addition. It would give you that second starter. It would give you a playoff seasoned bat, a veteran guy, proven success in the postseason. I just thought it was kind of an interesting hypothetical.
I know at least last year, Springer had a lot of injury concerns.
Yeah,
I have no problem with Gossman, but also Toronto's only 4.5 games out of the wild card. I don't know if they're backing up shop and gonna start selling. I feel like at least they feel like they're still in it, because I've heard Detroit still thinks that they're still in it, and they're also 4.5 games out. So,
well, that's the thing that we talked about before. The American League, especially, there's really few teams that are out of it, and I do think it's going to. Boy, they're going to let Medeiros try to finish this thing off, Mike. I do think it's interesting because as much as we want AA to make moves, and AA wants to make moves, he's definitely limited by the availability of teams that are selling. But you look at teams that, and we talked about this on a different show too. So if you listen to that, I apologize for repeating. But teams like Minnesota, yeah, they're only a couple games out of the wild card, but are they going to contend for a World Series title? I mean, no. Let's be realistic. So it's a tough message to send your fans and even your players that are currently on the team to say, hey, guys, I know you're right there, but we're still going to trade away some pieces because we don't really think you can win a championship. That's a difficult conversation to have with your players. It's a difficult conversation to pitch to the fans, but the truth is the truth. And so I think you may have some teams that, yes, technically, if you look at the standings, they're quote unquote in it, but we all know they're not really going to compete for the title. So they may end up being more willing to move some pieces than you would think typically.
Yeah, like you said, like Minnesota, I can see saying, yeah, we're going to sell because we're quote unquote ahead of schedule, and we did not expect to contend. Same thing with like the Cardinals. They were ahead of schedule. No one
yeah, true.
I remember you and I on Rounding Third both picking them. If they weren't in the bottom, they were probably fourth in the division. Yeah. But Toronto, like the defending AL champs. So I mean, I can't say that they're just gonna say no, screw it, and start selling, because I feel like at least they think they have a good enough team to at least make the playoffs after making the World Series last year.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I think Toronto. I don't think Toronto will sell. I thought that was an interesting hypothetical, but I don't think they'll sell. Minnesota, I think, could sell despite still being in it. St. Louis is an interesting one that you just mentioned. I think they're a pretty good ball club. They're not going to go to the World Series. I think the fans would be excited to see that team get to the postseason. The other thing about the Cardinals is they have so much young talent that I don't think they're going to want to move. There may not be really anybody on that team that they want to get rid of. I mean, they're not going to trade J.J. Weatherholt. Right? They're not going to trade Jordan Walker. I'd love to see Jordan Walker in Atlanta, where he's from. But so I don't know if they're a possibility. And then the rest of the NL Central, except maybe the Reds, they're still all alive. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. If AA can pull off a couple of nice moves, I will have a renewed respect for him, because I do think it's going to be a very difficult environment. It's a seller's market right now. So if he can just add that solid second starter, and again, I don't know who that is right now outside of Tarek Skubal, but maybe there's somebody out there. I did see where Casey Mize left the game. I think it was yesterday, Mike. I don't know if you saw that or if we got an update on that, but
I did not.
I think he was pulled from the game. I don't know. Maybe it was just something minor. Like I said, I haven't seen an update on that. Hopefully it was nothing major. Yeah, I mean, who's out there? Who are you going to get? Like Sonny Gray was the name being thrown around, but now the Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball, and not only back in the wild card race, they're back in their division race somehow. So I don't know. It's gonna be fun and probably a little nerve wracking. I'm gonna go with our buddy Nick from Clearing the Bases and Rounding Third, who said for the last several weeks he thinks the trade deadline is going to be a big dud. Because of the different, not a lot of sellers. You got the labor dispute looming in the future. I tend to agree with him now. Unfortunately, I just hope AA can pull off a couple of those little moves, tweak the team just enough to give this team a shot. You add back what we're getting back, stabilize this rotation with somebody, hopefully AJ Smith-Shawver. Looks like Medeiros has the second out, maybe.
Michael just made a running catch.
Nice. 2 outs. I'm just watching the app. So 2 outs, runner on first as the Braves try to close out the first game against the Padres. So, that's where I'm at with it, Mike. We'll have to see. We've talked about all the names. It seems like we've been talking about the trade deadline since like mid-May. We probably have. It's almost here finally. One more show, and then the following show should be like right at the day of the trade deadline. So I think it's August 3rd this year.
Yeah.
So any final thoughts around that, Mike, before we kind of start to wrap it up here? I know you got some trivia for us.
Yeah, the like you said, how it feels like we've been talking about the trade deadline since May. We probably have because our bullpen, our starters have been put together with duct tape and bubble gum, because that's we've been trying to get. Did you get it? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Great job of Medeiros. Great job. Yeah. We'll go ahead and talk about it since we're watching it. Medeiros comes in, if I'm not mistaken, the last 2 2/3 there, maybe, or maybe in the last.
I think 3. So.
Fantastic.
I don't know if Elder got an out at all.
Oh, I forgot Danny Young came in. So 2 1/3 from Medeiros, 1 hit, a couple strikeouts, I think. And great job by him. They don't have to empty the bullpen. That's just huge. Huge from Elder, huge from Medeiros. Great win for the Braves in game 1. I just got a text from my wife, capital letters, Medeiros, ! So we'll see what happens. Second half, Riley being better, Acuna coming back. I think AJ Smith-Shawver is going to be He looked pretty good in his rehab start so far. We'll probably see him in the next couple of weeks. Suarez coming back, Murphy coming back. I was feeling a little pessimistic a couple weeks ago, as you probably know. And as many of our followers do. Yeah, you probably. I don't know. You probably didn't know.
I didn't catch that.
No, you probably didn't notice that at all. I'm feeling a lot better, and a lot of it's just around Austin Riley. I was so happy when he hit that single yesterday, that 2-run single. I almost just fell over. I was so happy for him because I know what he's probably had to be going through mentally. People think, well, these guys make millions of dollars, and that's true, but that doesn't mean they don't take it hard when they're having a rough stretch like he's had. So good stuff for him. All right, Mike, you got trivia for us. You got last week's answer first, and then we'll talk about the new one. What you got for us?
All right, so last week it was before we had Dion playing for the Braves and Falcons. There was this former Milwaukee Braves pitcher. He's the first person to win a sports championship in 2 different sports, the World Series in 1957 with the Braves, and 59, 60, and 61 NBA championship with the Boston Celtics. Can you name him? I would have been impressed. I would have been impressed if you could have even maybe gotten the last name. But
I have no idea. Smith, John Smith.
No.
I have no clue. Who was it, Mike? Who was it?
Gene Conley.
Old Gene Conley.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Yeah, Miss Conley's little boy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I had no. I remember where I saw it. For some reason, I don't know how, I was watching YouTube. Something came up with it was the last regular season game for the Boston at the old Boston Garden, and they had all the players that were still alive essentially, and they were coming out from the Celtics, and he was one of them. And they said that in it, and I was like, "That's a perfect trivia question."
That's a great trivia question because I'm going to bet that nobody watching got that, but maybe somebody did, but I doubt it. That's a great question though. Gene Conley. I'll remember that. Maybe I'll probably forget it. But we need some audience participation, guys. We need you guys that are watching us on X. Comment, give us your opinions. Tell us what you think's going on with the Braves. Answer the trivia question. I'm holding on to. I'm not making any promises here, but I'm holding on to a Chipper Jones autographed relic. So it's got like game used jersey on it, autographed, graded card. So it's a slab. It's graded to a 10. And I'm thinking about using that as a giveaway just to get people to participate. But you gotta like comment. So maybe next week I'll pull that bad boy out, and we're not gonna do it in 1 week. It's gonna be like a 4-week thing. We'll see if we do it. We need some comments, guys. Participate with us. We want this to be a fan participation show. We're just fans. We don't claim to be anything more than that. Love talking Braves, and decided to spread it out, our fandom, to a podcast. We need you guys to participate, man. Jump on, give us some comments. So that being said, Mike, what's this week's trivia question?
All right, so pretty straightforward. What year was the first ever trade deadline?
Ooh,
yeah.
Never thought about there being a first trade deadline.
And there are 2 different answers. Okay. There was. I'm not going to give the actual answer, but I'll give you the little caveat with it. The NL had one, and then a few years after that, they both agreed to have the same one on August 1st.
Huh. You did it again, Mike. That's another good one. I mean, obviously it's going to be like pre-19. I mean, the leagues were still split to up to what, 93 or so? I don't know, early 90s. So
yeah, something like I want to say interleague play started like 93-ish.
Yeah. Another good one, man. That's a good one. I have no clue. So I mean, I know free agency started in mid 70s, late 70s. So I don't know. That's a good one, Mike. That's a good one, as usual. Think about it. Somebody comment or send us an email or carrier pigeon or smoke signals. Whatever.
There's no such thing as a bad comment. You just make it like
just make it
just hi. You can just say hi. We don't care. We have no problem with any kind of fan participation.
We really don't. And Mike is he's like psychic, so you could even like ESP it to him. You probably get it, right? There you go. That's actually so. By the way, I have to tell the story really quickly. So, my wife thinks we should take credit for Austin Riley's turnaround because we have a Shepadoodle, a German Shepherd Doodle mix that we got. She's like 1.5 years old now, and when we got her, I named her Riley, and I did name her after Austin Riley. See, I've not always disliked him. I named my dog after him. And at the time, I thought Riley was gonna have a big year coming up, and then also I just thought it was a good name for a dog. I thought it sounded good, So, being a German Shepherd Doodle mix, she's black and she's very fluffy. She's got a lot of hair. She kind of looks like a wolf, right? And we didn't do a great job of keeping her groomed. So, if she wasn't such a sweet dog, she'd be scary looking. She's got a wolf look to her. She's got the German Shepherd kind of nose and face, but she's got the Doodle mentality. She's very sweet. But if you didn't know that, she might scare you to death. And if she had red eyes, you would think she was a hellhound, right? So Riley struggled. Our Riley has outgrown. We didn't groom her well. So the other day, before this hot streak started, my daughter, bless her heart, God bless her, took Riley to the groomer and had her groomed and really trimmed up nicely. Looks like a completely different dog. I don't have any pictures loaded in. I'll have to share them next time. And since that grooming, Mike, Austin Riley's taken off. I'm just saying. You never know with baseball what it is that might change somebody's trajectory. That's all I'm saying.
Didn't you say something about that, like the whole, or maybe it wasn't you, maybe someone else, talking about Austin Riley's hair, how he's grown it out, and he, maybe that was the thing about it. Maybe it wasn't that Riley. Maybe it was your Riley.
It was our Riley. Yeah, I'm not the one that said that specifically, but I've heard other people say that. Yeah. So yes, my wife has determined that we're going to take credit for Austin Riley's turnaround. Now, if the hair grows back out and we don't get her groomed and he goes back downhill, then we'll know. Yeah. Proof is in the pudding, right? So appreciate everybody listening to that completely useless and pointless story. All right. So
It's our podcast. We can talk about whatever we want.
We'll do what we want to. Look, we're having a great year. We have managed to. I think we have done a podcast every week since early in the spring training season, maybe before spring training. I think we missed 1 week, maybe.
Yeah, 1 week.
We missed 1 week, guys.
It was your birthday. That's why.
It was my birthday. I was celebrating being an old person. So I'm just saying that to say, look, we're here every week, guys. We love doing this. We're enjoying it. Ups and downs and ins and outs of Braves baseball. So just, jump on and participate with us. We're not pitching any products here. We're just having fun and would love to interact with more. I interact with a lot of you on X, comments and stuff. So interact with us here. We'd love to hear from you and get your opinions as well. So, all right, Mike, we'll wrap it up for another successful week. And when we come back, we'll talk this Padres series. And then I actually forgot who we play next, Mike. We got 4 with the Padres and then the Orioles at Camden over the weekend. So that should be interesting. So we'll come back next Monday and talk Padres and Orioles. And in the meantime, guys, we'll see you at the ballpark and go. Trying to get the bumper music ready, so I'm talking slowly. Go Braves. I still didn't get it ready. And there we go. Nope, there we go. Still not playing. Oh, I got the volume turned down.